All right, this step is the unpacking of the steel and the plastic off the pallet. I want to show you a couple things. First of all, after sweeping and cleaning all the floor, we stack up the boxes so we can lay the plastic on top of it to keep it off the floor and easy to wipe down. Phil and Chris are going to unpack the pallet so they can show you how they get to the plastic. So as Phil unscrews this little wood block, Chris is going to cut the inner panels of steel and supports and unload them one at a time.
So, good. When we get to these pieces here, the front two are not complete. So you want to make sure you leave one side wrapped up so that they don't fall on each other or onto you. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll get this first piece out of the way.
All right, now we've removed the first two little steel panels. Chris will tell you what next.
So the rest of these we're actually going to leave on the pallet for stability to hold the panels up, but you need to scoot them out of the way.
They're doing this so we can get to the plastic panels that are sandwiched in between.
Now, we don't recommend doing more than 2 or 3 at a time. They are a little heavy. You want to slide them out as gently as possible. You want to position yourself in the middle, both hands, just lift it up off the ground.
And this is the purpose for the boxes. No need to be on your knees all day long. Remember, you have to wipe down with alcohol every panel when you start preparing them for the steel and the tape. Only try to lift 2 at a time. And be careful of this plastic. It's very durable, but it scratches easily. All right, so all the plastic is neatly and protected on the 4 boxes. Just a helpful hint for you. So now we're going to unload the steel panels. Each panel has numbers on them. This is a 28-foot studio. This is steel panel number 6G, 4G, 2G. We'll explain more in the numbers as we take them off. Chris is going to take off the first steel panel and show you how to carry it.
So you'll come to the middle section. You're going to want to lean your shoulder into it and reach around from the back using your knees, lift. You can do that with one hand.
Great job, Chris. So there's 6 of these panels on the bottom row of the studio. We're going to reach in and see. You can tell that this is a middle panel because you have screw holes on both sides. This first panel is panel number 2, and I presume this is panel 1. So notice no screw holes. This would be the portion of the booth you would be pushing, and there'll be another one over there with no holes here. So this is the left side of the studio, and Chris is going to be pulling off panel 1, 2, and now 3. There goes Chris with panel number 3. And immediately you can start to see the shape of the bottom row of panels. Now he's going to go back to his pallet and look for steel number 4. So as I glance in, there's number 4, and he's going to place it in the appropriate row. Once again, he'll show you how to lift it. Simple. And he's going to place it in its position. And once again, really quickly, this bottom row comes together. Once again, let me show you these panels. That's panel number 1. You can find the number in the middle piece of the steel, right here. That's panel number 1. Number 2 right there. Number 3, right here. Number 4, number 5, and Chris just finished putting in number 6. Now you can see the full shape of the bottom of the row of the studio. So as you can see, we have been organizing our parts and supplies. Here's the tape that goes on the steel once we wipe it down. Next part is the screws. We are now going to screw all the panels together. Chris has a handful of screws, and what he's going to do is just finger tight them together.
Got 4 washers, 2 on each side.
Hang on, do that again.
Got 4 washers. You're gonna have 2 on each side. So take them apart. And for now, we're just gonna finger tighten them.
So if you didn't hear him, he's got 2 washers on one side, 2 washers on the other. And we like to be super detailed and keep the nut side on the right and the head on the left. He's just going ahead and finger tighten them through the holes. And we'll do that for the rest of the panels. All right, so let me show you this again. We went ahead and at all the connections, just loosely finger tighted the bolts. They're all the way around. And we pre-positioned all the wheels, but keep a note, every wheel box doesn't get a wheel. We usually put 1 wheel in the opening on both sides, and then 2 wheels. We skip a wheel, 2 wheels on the side, 2 wheels in the very back, 2 wheels on the very side. All right, so at this point, we are going to show you how to mount a wheel. Philip brought up a good point. So we shipped you, let me focus in, we shipped you bolts that came with the wheel. We particularly don't care for those. We like the nylon thread. So we would hope that you guys find nylon thread and put that on the wheel. It's much easier. All right, here we go. We're going to install wheels. You can see Chris has got our package of rags we sent. He's going to put it on his shoulder. He's going to get in there to help Phil lift it. It's very light, but we're just being overcautious. We put the wheel up in the wheel box, through the bolt.
Make sure the nut's on the outside.
Nut goes on the outside, and until we get the studio assembled, we just finger tight. And we are going to go along. Remember, we missed this wheel box, and we got the 2 next wheel boxes. And we put it on the track, and we just keep going. We'll watch them in silence as they work together. All right, we're putting on our last wheel now. Let's get a close-up look again. Remember, your nut goes on the outside. Chris is going to politely put it down on the track. And now that your track is not fully tight, look how easy it spins. Here you can see the guys just walking around. It easily spins around. All right, so now we're going to use a clamp. And the reason we use a clamp is we want to keep this seam totally flush and flat. The reason to keep this seam nice and flat is when we lay our plastic, we don't want it to have a ridge on it. You got anything to add, Phil?
I would say this should be flushed even too, because otherwise you do not want it like that.
So, show them again, Phil. Perfect.
Press it up.
Clamp it down.
It in, and then you're ready to...
Nice and smooth. And then we use a powered bit to lock it all up. Chris, go ahead and tighten that one down. Now here's a critical point. Just barely pinch that. See how it just shows a little dent? Hope I can get a picture of that. There you go, that's tight enough. Don't crush it. Perfect. Perfect. We're going to continue all through this until the next step. So here we have a pro tip from Phil.
We want to make the pins for the upper section of the frame slide in a little bit easier. So we like to ream out some of this powder coating and make the hole a little bit bigger than it is by about a 1/16 so that those pins slip in nice.
So basically the goal is to just take care of some of the powder coating in the holes. We're going to demonstrate how smooth this goes in. You take the pins and you launch them into the hole. So this is the end section. You can see it's notched out where the part of the overhang is. And that's what it looks like. And the pins hold it in place so you can tighten it together. All right, let's recap. We have gone through the whole bottom section and tightened up everything. We've put the wheels in and we've drilled out the holes so the powder coat will be less than, and the steel pegs from the panels will slide right in. We also tightened up and added what we call the end caps, or ready for the overhang. All right, Chris and Phil are going to demonstrate how to put in the first panel. And they go ahead and find the hole. And slide it in. For safety, we put a clamp, and you can see the booth is spinning easily. Let's do the second panel. And clamp for safety. Third panel. And clamp for safety. Here's the final panel going up. Done. Clamp for safety. All right, we have completed putting all the upper steel panels on, and as you can see here, it's what it looks like. Now, we lovingly call this part the overhang, and we're going to show you how to complete that. The overhang is steel that goes over this and connects to here. Philip.
So we have 3 sections of overhang. To determine this first section here, you're going to match the 4 holes in the notch section here with the 4 holes.
Speak up, please.
With the 4 holes on the overhang. So how you know that is you're going to have 2 holes here, 2 holes here. That's going to tell you that this is right side up. This piece is upside down. You know it's upside down because we have the holes facing the ceiling. By placing it this way, it is now right side up. And we can bolt it in accordingly.
All right, so once again, this piece you know is going to the right side because it has these holes, and they're going to go in that portion of the track. 2 ladders, 2 people, make it safe. They put it into place, and they clamp it just so they can hold it in place for screws. Now they're going to hold the bolts and tighten down the screws. So with all clamps in place for safety, Chris is tightening the screws. Notice how it's barely dimpled there. He moves the studio and attaches the other 2 screws. Puts a clamp in there to keep the vertical part of the steel flush so you don't see any ripples with the plastic. tightens them up. And that concludes hanging the right side of the overhang. All right, here goes the left side of the overhang. There's the right already attached. Left side is going up now. Position your ladder so one person can hang and one goes up and clamps the studio. Line up the holes, clamp it down for safety. And then add your screws and tighten them up. All right, so we finished the left side of the overhang. Right side was first. Now, we gotta fill in the metal section. Chris is gonna demonstrate how that works.
You still have your numbers and your letters built in on both sides. That's an 8, that's a 9. So as long as your numbers are facing the right way, you know that this is how it's gonna bolt up.
Wonderful, thanks Chris. All right, here we are. We are going to complete the circle and installation of the overhang. Phil?
Just make sure this is right side up, and you'll know because the letters will be right side up, 28. So we start up that way.
This is a one-man job. You can see he put up his screws to help him connect it. He finger tights them, and then he'll move to the other side. All right, now he's moving to the other side. Finger tights. He does it again to the top. And completes tightening up the whole thing. All right, we have completed the assembly of the studio. We went ahead and made sure every screw was tightened. Now Philip's going to demonstrate where the lights will be hung and how to measure it.
14 inches from this inside face of the beam here. So you're going to have a 14-inch hole there. That's where your first light is going to mount, upper light.
All right, so you're going to drill a hole at 14 inches from this side of the beam.
Correct.
Wonderful.
All the way through.
All the way through. Where does the other light go?
You can see we already started a hole, likewise 14 inches.
And drilled the hole completely through. So just so you understand, we are going to mount the lights on this hole, one light, and it's going to be centered right there. The other light goes where his ruler is, or his tape, and the light will be right there. We'll describe that once we hang some plastic where the lights go. That completes the installation of the steel structure.